Okay, dear friend, good evening. First of all, once again, I will just remind you, this is an English medium class, not English medium. So once again, I will seeking pardon from those students who are exclusively in English medium to accommodate with me, to try to adapt yourself. I will help you through certain Hindi words and sometimes some certain Hindi sentences, but I will not, you can say, translate all the speech in Hindi. That is not practically possible. It will be too much time taking. So my friends, once again seeking pardon, you should not react. Rather, you have to make a compromise, understanding my position and constraint. Now let me come to the 5 questions first. But my friends, yesterday I have taught you colonialism. Whenever I was just likely to finish my class, some of the students were asking about what is Orientalism, what is this, what is that. Today I will make you clear a lot of things. Yesterday simply I have given you some structure of the diagram so that you will be familiar with the diagram. So what is the basic requirement of the diagram and what is colonialism? How did colonialism affect the British policy towards India? मतलब मैं केवल यह आपको बताना चाह रहा था कि कॉलोनियलिज्म जिसको बोलते हैं वो सारे ब्रिटिश की सारे, चाहे वो पॉलिटिकल पॉलिसी हो या सोशल पॉलिसी हो, कल्चरल पॉलिसी हो, वो सब उसी से लिंक्ड है. तो माय स्टूडेंट्स, अब लेट मी present before you 5 questions, but I am giving you some in advance information. The question may be a bit complicated, so even if you just missed to answer the question in correct manner, you should not get disheartened, because it is simply a matter of chance. Sometime you will do the 5 out of 5 questions, sometime 3 questions out of 5, even sometime 2 questions out of 5. It depends upon the nature of questions. So you should not get disheartened. Rather, you have to be happy even if you are going to solve 2 questions. The question number first: which of the following statements are correct regarding the policies adopted by a company during the mercantile phase of colonialism in India? Be conscious, mercantile phase, because there are 3 phases: mercantile, industrial phase and financial phase. But my friends, so far I have provided you the study material simply on mercantile phase. On industrial phase or financial phase, I will give you the study material in future, and I will just engage you in the class on the topics. It is simply the mercantile phase. So just the point number 1. Observe the point number 1. The company rejected the policy of war and annexation in the context of Indian states. Means the first statement is during this mercantile phase, the company completely left the policy of war and annexation. This is the first statement. Point number 2. The company's emphasis was on maximizing the collection of revenue in Bengal. The company's emphasis was on maximizing the collection of revenue in Bengal, maximizing the collection of revenue. And point number 3, the company made its distance from social reform. Means the company didn't like the social reform during this phase. And point number 4, the company was committed to increase investment in trade and commerce. Means the company was inclined to make investment in trade and commerce. My friends, this is the gist of the whole mercantile phase. At the first स्टेटमेंट यू फाइंड कि कंपनी ने वॉर और अनेक्सेशन मतलब क्षेत्रों के विलय को कंप्लीटली छोड़ दिया. सेकेंड वन फेज द मैक्सिमाइजिंग ऑफ द कलेक्शन ऑफ रेवेन्यू. एंड थर्ड, द कंपनीज मेड इट्स डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द सोशल रिफॉर्म. एंड फोर्थ, द कंपनी वॉज कमिटेड टू इंक्रीज इन्वेस्टमेंट इन ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स. सो दे आर द चॉइसेस माय फ्रेंड्स. You are free to choose. So please be fast. I am just waiting for your response. Yes, you are correct. 100% correct. I am just rejoicing at your success. I am much excited to know the first question was really a difficult question, and even I was apprehensive you people will reply this question or not, but you people have made a very positive response and you have given the correct choice. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the British colonialism? Point first. colonialism was meant to serve interest of the mother country. Mother country and metropolitan state is the one and the same. Yesterday I have taught you. Point number 2. Colonies' resources were exploited to fulfill economic interest of the mother country. Point 3. Colonialism discouraged reforms. Discouraged reforms means colonialism didn't want any reforms. So choice A. But my student, be clear. This is not about mercantile phase. This is all about overall colonialism, whether it may be mercantile, industrial or financial. So while answering this question, you have to keep this phenomena in your mind. It should not, you should not be, you can say, partially blind to this phenomena. This is all about colonialism. Now choice code 1, B, C, D. Be fast, my friends, and try to answer my question. Yes, correct, 100% correct. Because in industrial phase, you people, I have not so far taught you industrial phase, but you people are smart enough to find out and to make a conjecture that this company definitely discouraged reform during mercantile phase. But during industrial phase, the same company would encourage the social reforms. So you people will have the knowledge in advance. So this is quite commendable. Point 3. Which of the following statements can be considered correct regarding the mercantile phase of British colonialism in India? Which of the following statements? मतलब जो पीछे वाला क्वेश्चन था उसमें मैं इसलिए ज्यादा खुश हुआ, ज्यादा हैप्पी हुआ क्योंकि आपने जो तीसरा वाला पॉइंट दिया था कि इट डिस्करेज्ड रिफॉर्म्स. तो मर्केंटाइल फेज में तो जिसको वाणिज्यिक चरण कहते हैं उसमें तो ठीक है, वो डिस्करेज करता है, बट इंडस्ट्रियल फेज में जब हम जाएंगे तो रिफॉर्म्स को प्रमोट करेगा और आपने सेलेक्ट कर लिया, मतलब पॉइंट नंबर 3 को गलत. अब इसको आप लोग देखिए. Which of the following statements can be considered correct regarding the mercantile phase of British colonialism in India? Point first. The British company preferred to maximize its export goods from India. Which of the following statements can be considered correct regarding the mercantile phase? This is all about mercantile phase only. And वाणिज्यिक चरण. Point first. The British company preferred to maximize its export goods from India. To maximize export of its goods. The British company preferred to maximize its export of goods. Maximize its export of goods from India. Point 2. The British company was inclined to realize maximum revenue from India. And point 3. The British company chose to put larger and larger region in its under its direct control. Under its direct control. The British company chose to put larger and larger region, or put की जगह even you can use the term place larger and larger region under its direct control in India. Once again I am repeating. Point first. The British company preferred to maximize its export of goods from India. Point 2. The British company was inclined to realize maximum revenue from India. Point 3. The British company chose to place or put larger and larger region under its direct control in India. There are the 3 choices. Please, my students, be fast. Maximum D. B for Bombay. Yes, correct. 100% correct. Really you people have been smart now. बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म किया आपने. मुझे उम्मीद नहीं थी इस क्वेश्चन को आप करेक्ट करोगे. Question number 4. What were the reasons behind the differences between the British and Hyder Ali? Now I have not so far taught you the region of Mysore and the conflict between the British company and Hyder Ali. I have not so far taught you. But still I am putting a question before you. What were the reasons behind the differences between the British and Hyder Ali? Point 1. Hyder Ali captured the Malabar region. Point 2. Hyder Ali shared close contact with the French company. And point third, Hyder Ali closed the operation of the British company in his territory. Try, please. See, no, actually, Hyder Ali didn't close completely. I think what was where the reasons behind the differences between the British. So better to choose point number 1 and 2. It is in the latter phase, later Tipu Sultan closed its ports for the trade for the British. But Hyder Ali, point number 3 is not applicable. So I think you should better to choose point number B. That is a better choice. Question number 5. Impact of colonialism is seen in which of the following areas? But here point is that colonialism affected which of the following areas? The impact of colonialism is seen, is visible, invisible in which of the following areas? Impact of colonialism is visible in which of the following areas? Point 1 economic, point 2 political, point 3 social, and point 4 cultural. Be fast. Yes, correct, 100% correct. You people are smart now. I have been now confident about yesterday's class. I was a bit apprehensive because I am not directly linked to you. I am simply visualizing your presence in the class. You people are sitting here and you people are the serious people. मतलब मैं आपको केवल कल्पना से विजुअलाइज करता हूं कि आप लोग बैठे हुए हो और मेरी बातों को सीरियसली आप सुन रहे हो. लेकिन जब यू आर आंसरिंग माई क्वेश्चन, सो आई एम गेटिंग मैक्सिमम सेटिस्फैक्शन. इट मीन्स यू हैव डन वेल, you are doing in the right direction. Okay, now I am coming to the topic. Food for thought. My students, today, this is food for thought. Part 1, history of 18th century. I am sending you today, but my assistant, Mr. Ankur, might have sent you the food for thought. And this food for thought, it is not for writing answer. My students, this is not a model question. Food for thought means my objective is to make you a thinking creature. आपको एक सोचने वाला प्राणी बनाना है. So whenever you will just go through the statement, so there is some statement and you will simply think over the statement on every topic. For example, you have covered the history of 18th century. There are so many issues in food for thought. For example, you may recall that sometimes animals is after you can say swallowing up the foods, it is sitting, and after taking rest, it was just chewing it and doing some sort of fermentation. So you have to do the intellectual fermentation. In Hindi, I am just calling it a bodhik jugali. So you are doing a bodhik jugali, intellectual fermentation. What is the topic here? History of 18th century. Why is the first half of 18th century considered a period of political disintegration? Why? Was the multi-state system prevalent in India during the first half of 18th century a symbol of decline? Point 3, what was the first half of the 18th century called as Dark Age? Point 4, why was the first half of 18th century called the early modern period? Next one, why the Marathas could not replace the Mughal Empire? Next, fifth, why did European countries take interest in geographical exploration? Then next one, why did European countries get attracted towards Eastern trade? What was the difference in European countries' attitude towards American and African and Asian regions? How did they treat Americans and Africans, and how did they change their behavior towards Asians? Why did the French company get embroiled in a cutthroat competition with the British company in India? The Carnatic War proved decisive not only for the future of the French company but also for the French Empire. How did Bengal conquest of Bengal prove to be highly profitable for the British company? Yesterday I have made you this point clear, and every topic I have already discussed with you people. You people will simply do the intellectual fermentation. You can do one thing, make a copy, because in every part I have told you in modern history will be taught 4 parts: the history of 18th century, the history of colonialism, the history of nationalism, and the history of post-independence era. In all the 4 parts, I will send you the food for thought. So better to make a copy exclusively, not for question writing, food for thought. Question writing is a different thing. And then in this copy, just write one issue and then in 2 and 3 sentences answer it. Write one issue after thinking, after doing intellectual fermentation at your own, not with the support of notes, not with the support of books. You have to simply think over that and write in 2 and 3 sentences. In this way, that will make you a smart thinker. So my students, you will follow my guideline. Can I believe and can I expect? So इस तरह से आपको बौद्धिक जुगाली करनी है. अब now I am coming to the topic. Colonialism study I have started, and study I have given you this diagram. In the political, means actually you people have never to forget this formula. In fact, colonialism is basically an economic relation. You have never to forget this formula, but it was going to affect political, administrative, social and cultural structure as well. So as here the objective of colonialism is, here you can say as one thing, and the second thing I have told you, what is capitalism in Britain, that is colonialism in a colony like India. So there is the mercantile phase of capitalism, and what is the demand of mercantile phase of capitalism? Through collecting or accumulating the products from one area and to sell products to other area. So collecting the products from one area and selling products to other area, although the products are acquired either through fair or foul means, whatever might be the means, through dishonesty, through looting, through plundering, whatever may be. But the products would be sold out and whatever profit would be reaped, so that would be distributed among the British shareholders. मतलब एक जगह से वो प्रोडक्ट को कलेक्ट करेंगे, चाहे वो फेयर और फाउल मीन्स से, गलत या सही तरीके से, और दूसरे रीजन में उसको सेल करेंगे, उससे जो प्रॉफिट होगा उस शेयर होल्डर्स में बटेगा. तो दैट इज कॉल्ड मर्केंटाइल फेज ऑफ कॉलोनी, दैट इज कॉल्ड mercantile, you can say capitalism in Britain. But as Britain was having its own mercantile objective, so India was supposed to fulfill the British interest. And as the India has to fulfill the British interest in what way? So Britain had to collect so many tradable goods in India. So Britain को tradable goods India से collect करना है. अब you can very well understand कि if the British could purchase the goods through fair means, it could not have been a colonial relation. It is a colonial relation for the fact that Britain has to acquire the Indian products through unfair means. What is unfair means? The Indian products should have been purchased through Indian money, Indian currency. How was it possible? The British company got the Diwani of Bengal. It has to maximize the collection of the revenue, and a substantial part of revenue had to be invested in trade, means that Indians would provide money to the British company for purchasing the Indian products. So here the objective of the British company is the very limited. What is the limited objective? The limited objective is to maximize the collection of revenue and to preserve the revenue, so that a substantial part might have been invested in trade. So how the revenue could be saved or preserved? It could be saved through taking less and less responsibility in every field, in political field, in administrative field, in social field, in cultural field, everywhere. In political field, the company tried to avoid the war and annexation as much as possible. It could not stop the war. It could not, ban the war. It has to fight the war. It has to make certain an annexation as well. But companies' larger policy was to avoid the war and annexation as much as possible. This is in political field. What is the objective behind administrative field? To maintain the old Mughal structure of administration without bringing any major change. Rather, you can say that the Mughal model of administration could have continued with certain modification. And British were more interested in bringing some reforms in revenue system, because after all the revenue system could have benefited the British. It was going to benefit the British because maximization of revenue was the, you can say, main objective during this phase. But my students, I will inform you that at that time, even the civil justice, because justice is of two types. Judicial system, you find that in judicial system, there are the two types of courts, the criminal court and civil court. So justice are of two types, civil justice and criminal justice. So civil justice was associated with the land revenue system, or the revenue system, you can say. So if the British had to bring some reforms in land revenue system, it was compelled to bring reforms in civil justice as well. And if there would be some reforms in civil justice, so obviously you can say the reforms in criminal justice is the natural corollary to the reforms in civil justice. So they brought some reforms either in revenue system or judicial system, otherwise they try to maintain the old structure. In economic field, already you can say it transformed the Indian economy, and in social field, it had to maintain the traditional structure. And in cultural field, Orientalism, my students, some of you are very curious about what is Orientalism. I will definitely make you clear from today to tomorrow. Today I have to make me clear about first the political history. What is the policy of ring fence? Policy of ring fence is you have to make encirclement of, when you have to make a circle of your friends around your enemy. So that is called the policy of ring fence. This policy already started along with Warren Hastings, etc. But what you know as the, Lord Wellesley. So Lord Wellesley will start what you know as the subsidiary alliance. So subsidiary alliance was, you can say, the extension of civil justice itself. Sorry, subsidiary alliance was the extension of the policy of ring fence itself. मतलब इसको हिंदी में कहते हैं घेरे की नीति. और घेरे की नीति का मतलब है कि अपने जो एनिमी स्टेट हैं, जो शत्रु राज्य हैं, उनको मित्र राज्यों से एक घेरा बनाइए. So just encircle your enemy states with your friendly states. So that is called the policy of ring fence. और ये चाहते हैं कि हम कम वॉर लड़े, कम युद्ध करें और कम अनेक्सेशन करें, परंतु वॉर अनेक्सेशन तो करना पड़ रहा है. अब माय स्टूडेंट्स, इट्स माय ओन परसेप्शन कि सम ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स में, those who are not making a study without a planning, sometimes they can be boastful of the fact that I am just collecting the informations and facts. But my students, here I have to inform you that they will not collect the facts more than you, but you will systematize your facts along with your concept, because you are making a study of the changes and what you know as the facts and informations. So these are simply examples of the change. So you people will be much more comfortable, because you will just digest the facts and information in natural form, not in unnatural form. You are not doing rote learning. You are simply acquiring the informations. For example, in the first one topic, here I am just taking you and then I am making you clear. Suppose the mercantile phase of colonialism, you will make a study of it, amount of additional monetary resources, although because I have not to do the paraphrasing, then you will just go through it. And then political policy. In political policy, you can say you will find about information about the different sorts of governor general, Robert Clive, Warren Hastings. Now here I am making you clear so that you will be more crystal clear. Just say this is your political policy. Political policy. So my students, in political policy, the British policy is to avoid war and annexation as much as possible, because it has not to increase its responsibility. So my students, here I am making you clear, but in spite of that fact, objective was to avoid the war and annexation, but under the compulsion, because under the mercantile compulsion, because after all it has to promote its economic and mercantile interest, so it has to fight certain number of wars. and it was supposed to do certain sorts of annexation as well. Both the things had to be done by them. So my students, some governor generals or governors had to fight some war. So here I am giving you a list of war and treaties, the important war and treaties, and apart from that, I will brief some a story about the war. I am not expecting you people to remember all the things, to recall all the things, or to digest all the things, but at least it will inculcate your personal interest into the events. So that's why I will brief the story for your convenience. Here you can take the example. Here you can take the example like political policy. Okay, so in political policy, firstly, I am giving you the list of governors. So just after the Treaty of Allahabad, which was signed by Robert Clive, so after that, Robert Clive, in his second tenure, because first stint was between 1757 to 1759, and the second stint was between 1765 to 1767. So first governor is Robert Clive. And time period of Robert Clive is 1765 to 67. But my students, here I am making a cross for the fact, because no war occurred at the time of Robert Clive. So under you can say the Governor General, where the war is not going to occur. So I will avoid the name of that Governor General, because here we have to simply go through political policy. What is the administrative policy, which we have to do in the second diagram, meaning second arrow. So Robert Clive cross. Then comes the turn of Verhelst. You find here the name. Just say this is the Robert Clive. Here you might find here the name, the first Anglo-Mysore War. So this is Verhelst, So that's why I am going to make you clear about the Verhelst. Verhelst was the second one governor. So 1767 to 69. Here first Anglo-Mysore War. My students, you will just make a list of the wars and treaties along with me, because I have given you the detailed information, but you people are supposed to keep in your mind about the dates. I am not expecting a lot, but about chronology I am expecting you, because tomorrow I will bring 5 questions again, and I will expect every of you to answer all of the 5 questions. So here you will find first Anglo-Mysore War, and that occurred between the same 1767 to 69, and then after that you can say Treaty of Madras in 1769. Now I am briefing the story. What was the bone of contention between Mysore? What was the bone of contention between Mysore and British? So here I am making you clear. This is the territory of Nizam. You already know, successor of Nizam-ul-Mulk. This is the territory of Maratha. This is the state of Carnatic. This is the part of Hyderabad itself. This is the state of Travancore, etc. And this is the vast state of Mysore. Actually, what was the bone of contention between the British Company and Mysore? One bone of contention was, this is Malabar region. And you already know the fact that Malabar region was definitely the spice producing region. So British was having its greedy glance over the Malabar region. मतलब ब्रिटिश लालच की दृष्टि से मालाबार को देख रहा था, क्योंकि वहां से बड़ी मात्रा में स्पाइसेस या मसाले होते थे. So the British were keeping its greedy glance over this Malabar region, and even Hyder Ali was equally inclined to conquer the region. So finally you can say it was Hyder Ali who ruled the roost, who gained the region, and in 1761 Hyder Ali could have acquired this Malabar region. It became a matter of jealousy for the British because the British lost this region. First point. Second one point, Hyder Ali and his successor Tipu Sultan, both were having the close proximity to the French company, and French company was the immediate rival to the British company in India. So obviously you can say the British company were treating Hyder Ali as a hostile force. Third one factor was, actually this is Mysore you find, and this is Madras. This is the Madras region of the British. So the British company was worried or slightly scared about the fact that in fact Madras was in proximity to such a powerful Mysore state. So Mysore state might prove any time a big danger to Madras, particularly for the fact that Mysore state was having proximity to the French company. मतलब ये तीन फैक्टर थे, एक तो मालाबार का रीजन था, दूसरा फ्रांसीसियों से हैदर अली की दोस्ती थी, और तीसरा यह था कि मद्रास के निकट इतने पावरफुल स्टेट का होना ब्रिटिश के लिए खतरे की घंटी थी. So these three regions were the bone of contention between the two. अब now you will be curious about the fact that why did the first Anglo-Mysore war take place? It is due to the region. The British were already hostile towards Hyder Ali. So British just, you can say, hatched out a conspiracy against Hyder Ali, and British persuaded Nizam and Marathas and won Nizam and Marathas to British side and provoked them to invade over Hyder Ali. But Hyder Ali proved smart enough to outwit the British, and Hyder Ali immediately gave a very handsome amount to Maratha and Nizam as bribe, and won or purchased their neutrality for them. Means he gave an amount to Marathas and Nizam and purchased their neutrality for himself. So, and then isolated British completely from Maratha and Nizam. And then Hyder Ali invaded Madras, British region. He invaded on the British, and Hyder Ali was fastly advancing. And then Hyder Ali almost reached within 5 miles away from Madras. So British started to sue for peace. It started to sue for peace, and finally, the British initiated a peace process with Hyder Ali. So finally, in 1769, this Treaty of Madras was signed. It was definitely an honorable treaty for Hyder Ali, because in this treaty there was no provision for any war compensation, and it was definitely a diplomatic and political gain for Hyder Ali. So this first Anglo-Mysore war was settled very favorably for Hyder Ali. Now move further. So this is the era of Warlist. Move here, this is third governor is Cartier. Time period 1769 to 72. My students, one again give a cross, because no war occurred at the time of Cartier. Means it is not good to occur a war. I am simply giving the information only on Warlist. And then you are moving to era of governor generals now. Now governor generals. That was the era of governor, and then the era of governor generals. Actually, what is the difference between a governor and a governor general? Actually, I will inform you. When the Regulating Act of 1773 was introduced in India by the British Parliament, so then the governor of Bengal was given the power to supervise the region of Madras and Bombay as well, and the governor of Madras and that of Bombay were made subservient to the governor of Bengal. So after that, the governor of Bengal was known as governor generals. So first governor general of India was Warren Hastings. He came to India in the status of a governor, but very soon he was reinstated as the governor general. So a first governor general here, I am giving the name Warren Hastings. Time period, my students, 1775 to 17 sorry no, 1772 to 1785. During his period, two wars occurred. So please keep in your mind the two wars. One war was first Anglo-Maratha War. Time period 1775 to 1782. There you will find a lot of treaties. First of Treaty of Surat. Treaty of Surat. When did it occur? In Treaty of Surat, 1775. Then Treaty of Purandar. Treaty of Purandar, 1776. And finally, Treaty of Salwai. Treaty of Salwai. This occurred in 1782. So thus, this is the first Anglo-Maratha War. Now make me clear. Actually, Ankur just informed me. Will you send this page to this guy, or I have to change the page, or I will just simply remove gradually change? Will you send this page? Then the second one war was the Second Anglo-Mysore War. Second Anglo-Mysore War. When did it occur? 1782-84. When was it concluded? On the basis of the Treaty of Mangalore in 1784. So the Treaty of Mangalore okay, my student became so much smart as to remind me that the Treaty of Bargaon is missing. Very good. It is quite commendable. I have consciously dropped the Treaty of Bargaon because for the fact, I will brief the story with you, because I at that time realized it might be a bit burdensome on my student. So that's why I have consciously dropped the Treaty of Bargaon. But my students are so smart as to remind me that Bargaon is missing. So it is really, I am happy. I am happy at your performance. I have really dropped the Treaty of Bargaon. But before the Treaty of Bargaon, you might have heard about the Battle of Telgaon. And after this Battle of Telgaon, then the Treaty of Bargaon was concluded. I will discuss this factor. So here the Treaty of Mangalore, and on the basis of the Treaty of Mangalore, so in advance to send PDF is always useful, and you guys are very serious guys, and I'm expecting my guys you have to maintain the same seriousness, then definitely will qualify the examination. You have to simply maintain the same seriousness. So this is now I am briefing the story first, then I have to move further. Dekho, Warren Hastings came to India in 1772, and he was earlier a governor, but from 1773 onwards he was reinstated as a governor general. Actually, a story starts in Maharashtra region, so I am carrying you up to Maharashtra. Actually, what happened? Okay, I will do that. Just 1 minute. Here I will manage it. If I need, I can. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Yes. So my students, this is You are just observing here, this is Peshawar region and that is Pune. So where did we leave Peshwa so far? So I have mentioned about the third battle of Panipat, ki Marathas were a great loser and Sadashiv Rao lost the third Anglo-Maratha war. Peshwa Balaji Bajirao was likely to send his help, send reinforcement to Sadashiv Rao. He was himself carrying an army, was moving towards north, but in the meantime he got the news of defeat at the Battle of Panipat, so he returned from the way itself. And this incident took place in January, and in June 1761, even Balaji Bajirao expired, he died. His successor was Madhavrao I. But Madhavrao I was a very competent Peshwa. Actually, surprisingly, within 11 years, just after the third battle of Panipat, just within 11 years, Maratha power just you can say revived quickly. And this time, there was in Maratha Confederacy, you are recalling a name, Scindia of Gwalior. So it was from Rannoji Scindia, Dattoji Scindia, from the same family. But after the Battle of Panipat, there was the rise of a very illustrious leader. You might have heard the name Mahatma Scindia. So under Mahatma Scindia, you can say that the Maratha power, he added a great feather to the success of Maratha camp. He was a very great warrior and a great diplomat as well. So just recall, where is Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II? Are you recalling that Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II was staying at Kara? And he was just a British pensioner because he was given the region of Kara and Allahabad and 26 lakhs rupees as the personal expenditure, and just taking a stamp and a bag, he was sitting there. In future, if the British will require, once again the British could use it for, you can say, giving a stamp over a new paper or some new region in order to legitimize the British position. So he was just a British pensioner, he was staying there. But Mahatma Scindia did a great work. He rescued him and carrying him from Kara, he restored him in the throne of Delhi. Because I have told you that was Imadul-Mulk Javita Khan, who was a Mughal Wazir, so he was the virtual dictator. And he had earlier killed even Mughal Emperor Shah Alamgir II, the father of Shah Alam II. And Shah Alam II was scared about his Wazir, but Mahatma Scindia expelled the Wazir from Delhi, restored on the throne. And then he just there, you can say, he deployed a Maratha army there for the protection of Mughal Emperor. So in this way, you can say it was once again the rise of Maratha, and Maratha started to play the role of a kingmaker in Delhi again, and Peshwa Madhavrao I was much happy at the success of Mahatma Scindia. But my friend, it was in 1772, Mahatma Scindia died at the young age of 40. It was a curse for all Peshwas of Marathas right from the time of Bajirao I. And after his death, a war of succession started in Maratha court, and it is due to the fact that the son of Madhavrao I was, after all, a minor. He was not competent to, and he was not, you can say, he was not having the sufficient age to take the lordship. So that's why you can see there was a big problem. In the meantime, there was the rise of a very ambitious leader. You might have heard the name of Raghunath Rao or Raghova. He was the younger brother of Peshwa Balaji Bajirao and uncle of Madhavrao I. When Balaji Bajirao died after the Battle of Panipat, even at that time he was having his greedy glance over the throne, but his greedy glance could not work because Madhavrao I was, you can say, selected as the Peshwa. But after the death of Madhavrao I, and particularly for the fact that his son being a minor, once again his ambition was aroused and he was planning to take the throne of Peshwa. But Nana Fadnavis was a prime minister in Peshwa court, and Nana Fadnavis, just outwit him. And Nana Fadnavis, rather you can say, selected the younger brother of Madhav the first, Narayan Rao, as the next Peshwa. And Raghunath Rao's efforts of Raghunath Rao was foiled. मतलब रघुनाथ राव को मौका नहीं दिया और माधवराव द फर्स्ट का एक यंगर ब्रदर था जिसका नाम था नारायण राव, उसको सिलेक्ट कर लिया नाना फडणवीस ने. तो अब रघुनाथ राव वाज फ्रस्ट्रेटेड, बट आउट ऑफ फ्रस्ट्रेशन ही assassinated नारायण राव because he came to the conclusion that if the Narayan Rao would be out of scene, so there would be no another contender and I will easily get the throne. उसको लगा अगर नारायण राव को रास्ते से हटा देता हूं तो काम बन जाएगा, हमको थ्रोन मिल जाएगा. But Nana Fadnavis once again outwit him because he declared even the minor son of Madhavrao the first as the next Peshwa in the name of Madhavrao the second or Madhavrao Narayan or Madhavrao the second. So Raghunath Rao was now lost his patience and he entered into the British camp. He just went to British camp and signed a treaty with Bombay officers. जो बॉम्बे के जो ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर्स थे उसके साथ उसने एक ट्रीटी कर ली. माइट हैव रेड देयर द ट्रीटी ऑफ सूरत इन 1775. According to this treaty, the Peshwa will give to the British two regions, means कि Raghunath Rao after being the Peshwa, he will submit to the British the region of Salsette and Bassein. Salsette and Bassein are just lying near Bombay, and British were already having the control over Bombay. In return, the British was ready to give him the military support with 2,500 cavalry men. इस तरह से उसको 2,500 घुड़सवार सेना देता, कैवलरी मैन, और ये सालसेट बेसिन प्रॉमिस कर लिया. Thus started the first Anglo-Maratha war. But मतलब all the initiative was taken by Bombay officers without taking Warren Hastings, who was at that time Governor General, in his confidence. And Warren Hastings को कुछ भी पता नहीं. When war erupted, then Warren Hastings came to realize that the Bombay officers have done a very fatal mistake. He committed a very fatal mistake for the fact that Marathas were still a powerful force to be reckoned with. And it is very difficult to suppress the Maratha force by the British because Marathas were still a power in India. So he started lobbying and he sent directly Colonel Upton to do mediation between the Maratha and Bombay officers because he was interested in getting a treaty signed between the two. So Colonel Upton just came there, and at the initiative of Colonel Upton, a treaty was signed between the two. And that was the Treaty of Purandar. My students, you might have observed then in 1776, and war ended. But Bombay officers did not take the advice of Warren Hastings seriously, and once again they revived the war. इन बॉम्बे ऑफिसर्स का दिमाग फिरा हुआ था. उनको लगता था कि वारेन हेस्टिंग्स इसमें विलेनस गेम खेल रहा, हम अपने बल पर मराठों को हरा देंगे. उसने वारेन हेस्टिंग्स को एक तरह से रिजेक्ट कर दिया. एंड व्हाइल डिफाइंग द ऑर्डर ऑफ वारेन हेस्टिंग्स, द बॉम्बे ऑफिसर्स once again gathered and they revived the war with Marathas. And the same happened about whom the Warren Hastings were apprehensive earlier. Warren Hastings was apprehensive earlier. The Marathas gave a crushing defeat to Bombay officers in the Battle of Telgaon in 1779, and then Bombay officers were compelled to sign a Treaty of Burgaon with the British in 1779. My students, I have missed one thing which I am once again, you can say, briefing you. At the time of the Treaty of Purandar, in which the Colonel Upton did some sort of mediation, at least as the result of the mediation, the Marathas could give to the Bombay officers the region of Salsette, although not Bassein but Salsette. सालसेट मतलब बॉम्बे ऑफिसर्स को सालसेट वैसे भी मिल चुका था पुरंदर की ट्रीटी में, और तब उसने जाकर फिर वॉर को रिवाइव किया. और अब की बार जब वो बरगांव का युद्ध मतलब तेलगांव का वॉर हार के बरगांव की ट्रीटी की, तो देन दिस बॉम्बे ऑफिसर्स वर इवन कंपेल्ड टू सबमिट द सालसेट टू द मराठास. मतलब सालसेट भी गया उसका. इट वॉज ए ह्यूमिलिएटिंग ट्रीटी. But even during this critical juncture, you can say, Warren Hastings rose up to the occasion and he took the leadership into his hand. He clearly declared that no, we cannot accept this humiliating treaty because it is really humiliating for all the British in India. And My students, for your information, it was definitely the black days in the history of in the British history in India and the world. Because in India, the British were not simply fighting against Marathas. The British were already at war with Hyder Ali and Mysore. And even Nizam was hostile to the British at that time. And outside of India, it was the time the British were losing America. American War of Independence was going on. And in 1781, in Yorktown in America, it was Lord Cornwallis, who was the British commander there. He surrendered the weapons there. It was the black days for the British. But Warren Hastings rose up to the occasion and sent directly General Goddard from Bengal to Central India. Crossing Central India, General Goddard invaded on Marathas. And finally, you can say bombardment started. Matlab cannons opened its mouth against Gwalior. So Mahatma Sindhia later came to realize that the Gwalior might fall down under this continuous attack from the side of the British. So Mahatma Sindhia did some sort of mediation between the two, and finally Treaty of Salwai was signed. And on this basis, once again, the British gained the region of Salsette, not Basin Salsette, and along with Salsette, even Elephanta Island. Where is Elephanta Island situated, my students? You are clear? This is in Bombay, just near the gateway of India. You may recall if you might have gone there. So Elephanta Island, and thus started a 20 years of long peace between Marathas and the British. And it was much beneficial for the British because it was within the 20 years Maratha eliminated all the other enemies, including Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, Nizam was emasculated, and even the other Indian powers were destroyed, and then British will return once again finally against Marathas. So this was the first Anglo-Maratha war. Ankur, all is well? What is the question? You are taking time. Please be fast. पॉलिटिकल पॉलिसी अरे राज कोई खास पॉलिसी नहीं होती है. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय पॉलिटिकल पॉलिसी? मीन्स राजनीतिक नीति. नॉर्मली पॉलिटिकल पॉलिसी यू आर यूजिंग द टर्म माने व्हाट एवर पॉलिसी यू आर डूइंग विद द अदर स्टेट पॉलिटिकली, दैट इज पॉलिटिकल पॉलिसी. I don't find any extra meaning for political policy which I have to impart you. CVS, do you not know commercial? Commercial capitalism means, you know, mercantile capitalism and commercial capitalism, both are the same. Both is the same. Commercial capitalism means, देखो, capitalism is having the three different forms. In commercial phase, the capitalism is collecting the goods from one region and selling out the same goods to other regions and then reaping the profit. That is commercial capitalism. Through commerce, you are acquiring capital. But suppose you can say that the demand is so high that through supplying the goods, you cannot fulfill the demand. So then you are compelled to do the production. So once your capitalism starts in the phase of production, so thus appeared the industrial capitalism. Now you have just started to earn money through production. First production, then distribution. Then this is industrial phase of capitalism. Then after industrial phase, you have acquired too much finance, too much money, and you have accumulated money. So now you know you are just conscious about the fact, and you are just try to work on the option where to invest money. The money will bring the added profit, because it is, you know, inherent in the logic of capitalism, profit and more profit. You have accumulated the capital and then you have just started to earn capital through capital. So that is known as financial capitalism. So commercial, industrial and financial, these are the three logical evolution of capitalism. ये तो ब्रिटिश का डिसीजन था. Who has asked this question? Look, this is British decision. Actually, Lord Cornwallis was a very reputed military officer. It was very unfortunate condition for Lord Cornwallis. He was defeated in America, and Warren Hastings was also a competent officer, but Lord Cornwallis was having the higher stature than Warren Hastings at that time. It was the unfortunate condition. He lost the war in America and his reputation was tarnished. But still you can say, even after losing America, he was sent as a Governor General of Bengal. You may recall, he was the successor of Warren Hastings, and he has come to India at his own condition, at his own terms. So he was, after all, having a higher stature. रॉबर्ट क्लाइव, जब बैटल ऑफ पलासी हुआ था तो पलासी का तो ऐसा कुणाल क्यों पूछ रहे हो तुम? पीछे क्लास नहीं किया कुणाल. मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, कुणाल ने हिंदी में पूछा है ना, इसका मतलब इंग्लिश का हुआ. कुणाल, तुमको इंग्लिश में दिक्कत तो नहीं आ रही ना? एक्चुअली दिस इज ए इंग्लिश मीडियम क्लास. So my students, if you will, Kunal, you will find difficulty, so better to sit in Hindi medium batch, and then I will provide you the study material in English medium. There can be the one way, or in future whenever the English medium will start, you can enjoy. तो हो सकता है तुम्हें कुछ दिक्कत हो रही है कुणाल, आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट, बट दिस इज इंग्लिश मीडियम बैच. तो यहाँ पर मेरा थोड़ा रिस्ट्रिक्शन है, मैं बहुत हिंदी नहीं बोल सकता. खैर, एनीवे माय पॉइंट इज कि योर क्वेश्चन इज कि रॉबर्ट क्लाइव तो बेसिकली ब्रेन चाइल्ड ऑफ द बैटल ऑफ पलासी. He was the architect of the Battle of Plassey. He was sent from Madras and then he dealt with. He was the main architect, he was the brainchild. So, not to speak of other, he was himself a brainchild in the Battle of Plassey. Himanshu, tomorrow, Dipanshu, tomorrow I will send you a book list, Mr. Ankur, English book list, which I have just one. So just send to these guys. But Dipanshu na? Yes, sir. But Dipanshu, I will suggest you, give me one more week, because whenever once I will develop the structure, अभी आप लोग अगर नोट्स बनाओगे तो सब जम्बल्ड कर दोगे. नोट्स बनाने का एक तरीका होता है. जो मैं आपको भेज रहा हूं अपने आप में एक नोट्स है, इसी में थोड़ा वो तुम इलाज कर लो. स्ट्रक्चर यही रखो जो मैंने बताया है. जनरल स्टडीज में इससे बढ़िया स्ट्रक्चर तुम नहीं होगा. आई हैव डेवलप्ड माय ओन स्ट्रक्चर एंड दिस इज आई एम द आर्किटेक्ट ऑफ दिस स्ट्रक्चर. आई विल प्रेफर माय स्टूडेंट्स कि विल फॉलो माय गाइडलाइन. So Dipanshu, please give me 1 week. In the meantime, I am sending you a book list. So maximum you can do ki go through NCERT books. And just ask from Dipanshu, did he finish the NCERT book of class 8th? City of Allahabad is missing. Where? From study material. So please clarify your question. ट्रिपल टाइट एलायंस नहीं, पहले तो 1 by 1 बोलो ना. पहले तो इनका दीपांशु किनका था? हाँ, तो दीपांशु पहले ये बताएं उनका क्वेश्चन क्या है. Treaty of Allahabad is missing. So where missing? In study material or where? Tomorrow, my students, I am sending you a book list tomorrow, and you people will follow this book list, okay? And then tomorrow, whenever you will come, so then you will share your views with me. And Mehak का question क्या है? Good. So Dipanshu, tomorrow I am sending you the book list. You can take support from other books if you like. There I will give you the clear-cut idea which books, and even topics I have specified for which topic you can consult which book. So I have given the comprehensive list. So tomorrow I will send you. What is the question of Mehak? Triple alliance, tripartite alliance. Tripartite alliance, Mehak, if I am right, are you not asking about alliance among Maratha, Nizam and Cornwallis against Tipu Sultan? Possibly you are just asking about this tripartite alliance. This may be. Mehak, if you are confirmed, so please approve. In study material missing. Oh, I am sorry for that. Sometime it happens. In spite of best of my efforts, some point may be missing. So no problem at all. You are in touch with the books as well, and I am just delivering in the lecture. So you people have to make an addition there. No problem at all. Because it is a very natural course. In spite of my best of the efforts, sometime I am going to miss some point. That is very natural and human. So you people have to make an adjustment with this sort of mistake. Actually क्या होता है कि अब इलाहाबाद का टीटी हो सकता है मिस हो गया हो, वहां हमने नहीं देखा हो, मे बी. हाँ, तो would I go further, Mr. Ankur? हाँ, तो मैं I am just telling you in this way this was concluded. अब now second one issue is the issue of the Treaty of Mangalore, and the second one war was the second Anglo-Mysore war. So now the question arises, why did the second Anglo-Mysore war occur? Hyder Ali was at that time the ruler of Mysore, and what is the background behind that? Background was that in 1779, whenever you will just observe the map, you find here a region that is called Mahe. In map, this is the region of Mahe, and it is lying in Mysore you find, and Mahe was a French region. But the British invaded the French region. The British invaded the French region Mahe and captured it 1779. So Hyder Ali raised a point of objection. Ki no, this is wrong. After all, Mahe is a protected region of Mysore because it is lying within Mysore. So through invading Mahe, the British has given the direct challenge to us. On this basis, he opened the war against the British and thus started the second Anglo-Mysore war. Up from 1780 to 1782, the war was led by Hyder Ali. But in 1782, Hyder Ali died. He didn't die in battlefield, but he was suffering from a disease, cancer. So due to this disease, he just died. He succumbed to this cancer disease. So he died in 1782. So then the command was taken by Tipu Sultan, and Tipu Sultan got the tremendous military success against the British. Actually, there is some episode that there was a British brigadier. His name was Brigadier Matthews. So Tipu Sultan at one occasion captured Brigadier Matthews with his whole army. So as he captured Brigadier Matthews with his whole army, it was really surprising. So then even the British company pleaded for peace, and finally you can say in 1784 the Treaty of Mangalore was signed. Macartney was the governor of Madras, and Macartney took initiative for the treaty. So this treaty was signed. This treaty was definitely a very honorable treaty for Tipu Sultan, because there was no space for the war compensation by Tipu Sultan, and it was definitely a very prestigious treaty. In this way, my students, the time of the Warren Hastings was over. Now I am moving to Lord Cornwallis. This is the point. Here you know, this is Lord Cornwallis. Lord Cornwallis. Lord Cornwallis. His time period is 1786 to 93. But my students, you know that Lord Cornwallis was basically known for administrative reforms. But here I am not going to mention about the administrative reforms. Please try to understand my scheme. Presently, I am simply dealing with the political history. So political history means how the wars and treaties are taking place. I will talk about the reforms in arrow number 2, administrative reforms, means administrative structure. There I will deal with. But in the point number 1, I am simply dealing with this political history. If you might have gone through my PDF form, you may be conceptually clear. So that is 86 to 93, that is taking place. And here you can see the third Anglo-Mysore War occurred. Third Anglo-Mysore War and that is, in 1790 to 92, and then after this war, the Treaty of Srirangpattam. The Treaty of Srirangpattam. So that is in 1792. That occurred in 1792. My student, this are now the bad days of Tipu. You can say the decline of Tipu started now, or the beginning of the end of Tipu started. And what happened, in fact, in 1786, when Lord Cornwallis came to India, what was the immediate pretext behind this third Anglo-Mysore War? Actually, here I have to inform you that this is the place. This is the place you find. So, actually, this is the estate of Travancore, Since 1789, the Tipu Sultan invaded the estate of Travancore. So, the British just took the side with Travancore on the basis that Travancore is after all a protected British estate, and if Tipu Sultan is going to invade Travancore, so it is directly defying or giving challenge to the British company. So it is on this basis in 1790 the war started, what you know as the Third Anglo-Mysore War. The worst part of the whole affair was that Tipu Sultan was diplomatically isolated in the region. Actually, here I have to make you familiar with the policy of Tipu. Sometimes Tipu is being praised among Indian kings because he is supposed to be very far-sighted, a ruler with far-sighted approach, because he was keeping his eyes over the contemporary world politics as well. Can you believe that Tipu Sultan developed its, you can say, friendship and started to search his allies at global level? He used to send his ambassador and his messenger to Afghanistan, to Turkey, to Mauritius, to France, to Constantinople, means Turkey. In this way, you can say he just tried to search allies at international level. So some critics even made a statement that while Hyder Ali was fighting against the British company, but Tipu Sultan was fighting against the British Empire. So sometimes Tipu Sultan is being remembered and you can say being praised for his valor and his far-sighted approach. But my students, you might have heard about one thing. For example, we Indians or we India, we are just following the lookist policy. So sometimes we are just looking east so deeply, we are going to ignore northeast. The same happens in case of Tipu. He was so much absorbed in global politics, he neglected local politics. At least Marathas and Nizam were in neighborhood, and this time the British got success in isolating Tipu and winning Nizam and Maratha to its side. So Nizam and Marathas became the close British allies. Possibly Mahak might have asked the question, tripartite alliance, about this association. Did Mahak approve this? Again, Mr. Ankur, you will inform. Actually, she might have told about this tripartite alliance which happened. And Tipu Sultan could not actually get success in dividing them, while Hyder Ali was a local player and he always outwit the British on this front. You might have in first Anglo-Maratha war, in second Anglo-Maratha war, but Tipu could not manage. Still, Tipu could fought bravely against the tripartite alliance for 1 long year. But after 1 long year, then Tipu Sultan started to lose the battle, and finally Tipu Sultan was defeated finally, or routed finally, in 1792, and then Tipu was defeated, and it was compelled to sign the humiliating Treaty of Srirangpattam in 1792. It was definitely the wings of Tipu were chopped off. माने टीपू के पंख कतर दिए गए इसमें. Tipu has to lose half of its region to the hand of the British. Apart from that, the Tipu Sultan was liable to pay 3 crore 30 lakhs rupees as war compensation. Not simply that, he had to keep his 2 sons as the British hostage. So in this way, his wings were clipped off. So this way, and then you can say, after winning this battle and signing the Treaty of Srirangpattam, Lord Cornwallis divided the region among his allies. The main region like Malawar, Dindugul, Baramahal, all the important regions were taken by the British Company itself, and some regions were given to Marathas on the side of, you can say, in the side of the river Tungabhadra, and some region to Nizam by the side of the region Pennar, and main region was swallowed up by the British Company itself. And then, you know, Lord Cornwallis very boastfully made a statement: we have successfully crippled our enemy without making our friends too formidable. मतलब हमने अपने मित्रों को ताकतवर बनाए बिना अपने शत्रुओं को सफलतापूर्वक कुचल दिया है. We have successfully crippled our enemy without making our friends too formidable. So in this way he made the statement. So thus this war was just ended. Then once again, now the Tiger of Bengal has to come. So please look towards Lord Wellesley. Lord Wellesley. अब इन Lord Wellesley, what is the time period? 1798 से 1805. अब Lord Wellesley will just adopt 2 methods. The method of war. 2 methods. Method of war. Method of war means, my student, the first word is 4th Anglo-Maratha War. That occurred in 1799 without any treaty. That's all. Second one is B. Oh, yes. My smart guys, you are right. Because at the time of John Sword, there was no war. So that's why I have not mentioned John Sword, but you have done a great job. Great job. Give the name of John Sword. In your copy, give the name of John Sword. SHORE. And time period of John Sword, 1793 to 98. Give the name 1793 to 98 about the John Sword, please. And then give a cross, because no war occurred at his time, as we have done in case of Robert Clive and Cartier. So give a cross there in the name of John Sword, but at least write the name of John Sword so that chronology should not be missing. And my students, I will just expect you, starting from the Treaty of Allahabad till Earl of Minto in 1813, this story will end, and then you will just move from in the next time, because I will up to tomorrow tomorrow or the day after tomorrow I will provide you the another matter of industrial capitalism. So at the point you will live, you can say Earl of Minto, then we will start at the time of Lord Hastings and ending up to Dalhousie. But the policy, there would be policy changes. So John Soar, at least you people have to give the name of John Soar, and it is really commendable that you have recalled John Soar. Good. And here you can see the second Anglo sorry. Once again, the fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, 1799. Very right. And the second Anglo-Maratha War. The second Anglo-Maratha War, and that is 1803 to 5. Now let me brief the story about Lord Wellesley first. What happened? Actually, whenever I will teach you world history, I will just carry you to the scenario, political scenario of Europe. Actually, in 1790s, there was the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte was a great warrior, but he was having a misfortune in his life. He could never defeat Britain. He could never defeat Britain. It was definitely a misfortune in the life of Napoleon Bonaparte. So he was at that time the a military commander, and he successfully, you can say, defeated the Austrian Empire. And after getting this success, he became a French hero. Then the French directors, because there was the government of directory, so they deputed Napoleon to fight against the country of shopkeepers. Actually, they used to call Britain the country of shopkeepers. So country of shopkeepers. So that was Britain. So Napoleon Bonaparte decided that actually the lifeblood of Britain is India itself. So if we will just destroy its Indian Empire or Eastern Empire, so Britain will die a natural death. So keeping this view in the mind, he made an invasion on Egypt, because Egypt was on the way, and then from the side of Egypt he was planning to move towards India as well, and to expel British from India with the disgruntled elements of it, with the support of the disgruntled elements of India, including Tipu Sultan. But unfortunately, when Napoleon started from France via Mediterranean Sea and moved to Egypt, and he even defeated Egypt, he captured Egypt, but in the meantime, a British commander, Nelson, chased him, and Nelson fought a battle against Napoleon. This is known as the Battle of Pyramids. But unfortunately, Napoleon lost the battle to Nelson. So Napoleon was virtually, you can say, encased in Egypt. अब इजिप्ट में फंस कर, मिस्र में फंस कर रह गया, न तो भारत जा सकता था, न फ्रांस लौट सकता था. And it was during this critical juncture, यही कष्ट का समय था, it was during this critical juncture the British government sent a very imperialistic governor general to India, and that was Lord Wellesley, who was known as the Tiger of Bengal. And he came to India in 1798. So Lord Wellesley adopted two different methods to eliminate the enemy of the British and or you can say the friends of the France. The method of war and the method of subsidiary alliance. So firstly, I will discuss about the method of war, and this method was, that was, the fourth Anglo-Mysore War. In fact, Tipu Sultan had already lost the third Anglo-Mysore War, even half of the region, but he could never comply with his defeat, and he could never accept the defeat in his spirit. And with French support, He once again tried to revive his army, reorganize his army. He even, established some new military arsenals in different regions. So he was just trying to prepare himself, although he was now not so much resourceful as earlier, but still he was trying. So when the Lord Wellesley came, so he sent, actually the younger brother of Lord Wellesley was Arthur Wellesley. He was very talented guy. And there was a Major Stuart. So both combined together were sent against this Napoleon Bonaparte, sent against this Tipu Sultan, and Tipu Sultan was encircled by the British army along with the fort of Srirangpattam. But Tipu Sultan was fighting bravely with his army and with a smaller contingent at this fort. My friends, once I have just visited the fort of Srirangpattam, I was really, tears came to my eyes after observing the scenario. The British almost devastated Srirangpattam after that. But when at that time he was fighting, so Lord Wellesley sent him a proposal of subsidiary alliance. Your life would be spared if you will accept subsidiary alliance. But my students, you will be surprised to know that what was the reply of Tipu at that time. He gave the very strong reply. In place of just giving and placing my name in the pensioned Nawabs and kings, I will prefer to die bravely. And then he died while fighting against the British at this fort of Srirangpattam. So that's why after 4th Anglo-Mysore War, you will not find any treaty, because then the British annexed Mysore. Some region was carved out and it was given to the old young prince of Mysore, some region, and rest of the regions were swallowed up by the British company. And then tomorrow I will do even administration. In economy, it will not take time. Even in society, it will not take time. It will simply, administration will take some time, because particularly I have to make you clear about permanent settlement of Lord Cornwallis. It was really an important topic, and you will find the question in prelims, mainly from this side the question in prelims you will find, and there are certain question in mains as well. So today I am just going to stop here, and I will continue my lecture tomorrow. And you people are conscious enough, so really I am happy today, because you have very you can say, because about the question paper, particularly the multi MCQ questions, I was not so confirmed you people will solve at least 4 out of 5 questions, but you have done. So you have done extremely well. And in your conversation, because Ankur is just working as a middleman between us, so he has given some information. You have raised very intelligent questions sometime, and sometime you have just reminded me that the Treaty of Burgaon is missing, and this and that is missing. So it means you people are conscious enough. It is really a matter of great rejoice for me. I'll see you tomorrow. So I'm stopping here today. Thank you very much, my friends. I will see you tomorrow.